The wedding is loud, celebratory, and entirely arranged. The bride is a young woman. The groom is a middle-aged, limping grocer with grown children. Everything proceeds according to tradition, until the veil slips. He sees deep pockmarks on the bride's face and halts the ceremony on the spot. He issues an ultimatum: pay 5,000 rupees or there is no marriage. It is blatant extortion. To save his social standing, the bride's father begs for mercy. He walks up to the groom, removes his turban, the ultimate symbol of his pride, and places it directly at the older man's feet. He hands over the cash. The groom smirks, victorious. He lifts the yellow floral garland to complete the ritual. But before it reaches her neck, the bride strikes his hand away. The garland flies through the air and lands squarely in the sacred fire. She pulls back her veil, stares directly at the groom, and speaks with total clarity. She refuses to marry a greedy, heartless coward. The wedding guests are stunned. They start whispering, calling her shameless. Curious, the shock of the crowd stems from one undeniable fact. This young woman was universally dismissed by her entire village as Bholi, the simpleton. She was a girl who spent her whole life unable to stammer out her own name. How did someone with zero social value develop the agency to publicly dismantle a patriarchal transaction? To answer that, we have to look at the baseline reality of her early childhood. Sulekha is the youngest of 7 children born into a prosperous agrarian household. In this environment, healthy, strong children are the ultimate family assets. But Sulekha suffered 2 severe physical traumas. At 10 months old, she fell from her cot, causing a brain injury that slowed her learning and gave her a severe stammer. Then, at age 2, a severe attack of smallpox nearly killed her. She survived, but the disease left deep black pockmarks scarring her entire body. In a society obsessed with physical purity and flawless aesthetics, this was a devastating blow. This culture treats marriage as an economic exchange. For a daughter to be successfully traded in this market, she needs to offer value to the groom's family, either undeniable physical beauty or high intellectual competence. Sulekha lacked both. Her family assessed her as a complete liability. They gave her the nickname Bholi, meaning simpleton, and emotionally abandoned her. She wore the unwashed, shrunken hand-me-downs of her older sisters, and she was entirely erased from the family's affection. Her path out of this isolation starts entirely by accident. A government revenue official visits the village to inaugurate a new primary school for girls. He orders the local landowner, Bholi's father, to set a political example by enrolling his daughters. Her parents are horrified. They firmly believe that an educated girl becomes unmarriageable, but they have a quota to fill. On her first day of school, Bholi is absolutely terrified. She doesn't know what a school is. Her only frame of reference for being let out is when her family's old cow, Lakshmi, was dragged to the market and sold. She assumes she is being discarded in the exact same way. Bholi's access to the classroom was a byproduct of this same system that neglected her. Her parents used her to satisfy a political quota, unintentionally handing her the very tools she would eventually use to reject their authority. The classroom offers a stark contrast to her home. Bholi leaves a hyper-judgmental, transactional household and steps into a structured, communal space populated entirely by girls her own age. The real shift happens when the teacher approaches her. Instead of the ridicule Bholi expects, the teacher asks for her name with genuine patience. When Bholi stammers and cries, the teacher does not laugh at her. Instead, she offers soft, direct validation. This animated flowchart breaks down the mechanics of her speech impediment. The cycle begins with fear, which triggers the physical stammer, reinforcing her deep shame. By inserting empathy into that cycle, the teacher reroutes the entire process toward validation, leading to confidence and clear speech. The teacher promises Bholi that if she comes to school every day, she will speak perfectly. She hands her a pictorial book, using colorful literacy as the scaffolding to build a completely new identity over the next several years. This shift took years of daily, repetitive work, decoding books and practicing speech in an environment that didn't punish her for a mistake. The consistent reinforcement of the classroom eventually rewired her internal narrative. By the time she graduated, the girl once treated as a liability had developed the intellectual autonomy to decide exactly who she wanted to be. Years later, we return to the crackling fire of the wedding ceremony. When the groom demands 5,000 rupees, Bholi is no longer processing the moment through the eyes of a discarded child. She is looking through the lens of an educated woman fully aware of her own worth. She had initially accepted this wildly unequal arrangement. She was perfectly willing to marry a limping, elderly man out of duty, simply to protect her father's honor and secure a quiet life. But the extortion changes the math. The second the groom puts a cash price tag on her physical appearance, the arrangement shifts. It ceases to be about familial duty and devolves into the outright commodification and humiliation of her body. So she strikes his hand away. She asserts that she does not need a husband to survive. She looks directly at her father and declares that she will care for him and her mother in their old age, and that she will make her own living by teaching at the very school that raised her. In a single breath, she flips the patriarchal script. She takes on the heavy financial and caretaking responsibilities traditionally reserved only for a son, but she does it entirely on her own terms. Standing quietly in the corner of the courtyard, Bholi's teacher watches the entire confrontation unfold. She smiles, feeling the deep, quiet satisfaction of an artist who is looking at completed masterpiece. Sulekha's defiance is the calculated result of her education. In that village school, she acquired the vocabulary to name her own worth and the confidence to defend it. She walked away from an oppressive system to build a life on her own terms.